Hello, and welcome to another episode of Be a Leader podcast, where we talk about current events in sports, military, and business through the lens of leadership. So it is NBA playoff times. We are currently in the conference finals for both the West and the East. I know a lot of games have already been played, but we're going to talk about the NBA conference finals. And if you're not a basketball fan, there's stuff to learn here. And if you're not the sports person, there's still things that we can learn from these series. So we have San Antonio Spurs against Oklahoma City. And we also have Cleveland against New York. And so, what can we learn from this? Most people are just going to be watching this for entertainment. You know me, I'm looking for all the leadership lessons that we can learn from these. And when the pressure is on, that's where things get revealed. And we've learned a lot, I believe, from all four of these teams in these two series. So, what can we learn from these? So, we're just going to start with Oklahoma City Thunder. And the biggest thing here is that boring excellence is unbeatable. It's amazing to watch that. And we're going to start, of course, you have to, with their best player. His name is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Most people call him SGA for short. He's a Canadian player. He's the star player for OKC. He's fantastic. I personally like him because he's no drama. He plays very hard. He's very level-headed. And he's so good, people call him boring. People like controversy. They like heated things. They like stuff that flares up. They like charisma. SGA is none of that stuff. He's just consistently good. Game 5 just took place last night between San Antonio and Oklahoma City. So I won't spoil that game, but I will say that SGA had a very slow start in that game. He was missing a lot of shots, close-up shots, layup shots, pull-up shots, his shots. He wasn't making them early on, but he kept taking them. And he never blamed anyone else. He just said, hey, my bad. I'll try to get the next one. And he kept going. And lo and behold, he started getting fouled. He started going to the free throw line. He started seeing that ball go in. And as he makes them, because he's a very good free throw shooter, and he started to get his rhythm back. And it really helped him get warmed up better in the game and help the whole team out. But he's not flashy. He's very consistent. And I think a trap that's often is found is that people want to become charismatic, right? Charisma can become a trap. I think the key thing here is to be authentic. Be authentic on what you're really good at. You don't have to be charismatic to be a great leader or to be a great player. You just need to be your best possible self. And there's many ways to do that, which is stuff that I work on people with. But really the key here is you don't have to be charismatic. I look at two key examples. Roger Federer, excellent tennis player, often viewed as boring until opponents came in and shook things up. But he was so graceful, wonderful player. Another one, Tim Duncan. He played when I was younger, part of the San Antonio Spurs, won many championships. They called him Mr. Fundamental, right? Not Mr. Flashy, not Mr. Hollywood, Mr. Fundamental. Okay. I like Kevin Garnett a lot during the time because Kevin Garnett was a little bit louder and brashier. But Tim Duncan was a fantastic player. Okay, both of them could kind of be seen as boring, but they were excellent. Consistency, excellent. I think about systems are much better over stars. Okay, in the Marine Corps, we do not recruit stars. Stars don't come to us because guess what? You ain't getting any film time. You ain't getting any Instagram likes. You will do things in very difficult environments that will never see the light of day. There is no glory in what we do in the Marine Corps because you're not on TV. No one's giving you some kind of sponsorship deal. You're not getting your own pair of boots, okay, or shoes or any of those type of things. Okay? You are serving because you believe in something greater, but you are joining a system that has very clear identity, right? Very clear set of behaviors and very consistent results. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But that's what you're going through in the Marine Corps. Okay, it's not stars. Same thing with Oklahoma City. The contrast with these places like Los Angeles Lakers, who want stars, who bring stars in because people like the stars there, and they hope the stars can win. All right. But here, OKC is different. They're not looking for the stars. The stars become stars because they are become very good together. It is a result. It is not part of the identity. And I go back to that. We'll talk about it right now. Then the IBR. My IBR framework is identity, behavior, results. You got to start with a very clear, strong identity. Then create strong behaviors that match that identity. And with that alignment, will produce lagging indicators that we call results. Okay. Here with SGA, he knows I'm not a famous player, but I'm a winning player. I am consistent and I'm good at what I do. And then the results come in the way he plays and the way they win. And let's not forget, SGA was the MVP of the league last year. He won the NBA Finals last year. And this year, he's been already named consecutive league MVP this year and has a very good chance of winning the NBA Finals again this year. Okay, not by being someone he's not by trying to get all the attention and all the playing, but by being very good at being consistent at everything, at the fundamentals. It's extraordinary to watch how good they are. Yes, you can call it boring if you want, but they're a very good team. And it's consistently producing amazing results. That's something that we can learn from the Oklahoma City Thunder. Let's go on to San Antonio. Okay, I grew up in Corpus Christi, Texas, which is part of Spurs country. But let's talk about the Spurs. And the thing here is preparation multiplies talent. You can't look at the current San Antonio Spurs without looking at the elephant of the room, which is the French player Victor Wembanyama. He's 7'4" with an 8 feet wingspan, but he can do it all. He can dribble between his legs. He can do crossover spin moves as if he's Allen Iverson. He can do step back 3-pointers as if he's Steph Curry. He can do everything. It's unbelievable. And I'll tell you this, back in the day when I had my Sega Dreamcast, I would make up, my own players on the NBA 2Ks and 2K1s. And I would make the tallest, skinniest player I could possibly make who could do everything. Victor Wembanyama is that player in real life. They call him the alien because it just doesn't even make sense. But anyways, let's talk briefly about him. Just because he's tall and just because he's talented doesn't mean they're going to win, right? Usually there's a learning curve. And first year, and then you get better second year. And usually by your third year, you really start to bloom. And that's what's happening for him right now. This is his third season. He's 22 years old. But we need to also not forget the struggles he had before, especially last year. Let's go into last year, his second year in the season. He had a blood clot in his shoulder. His career was in jeopardy for a little bit. And their Hall of Fame basketball coach, Greg Popovich, who had won all these NBA titles, had a stroke, and he ended up having to withdraw from the head coach position. The quote was, terrible place. Last year was a terrible place to be, was the words that was used by Victor. So he knew that he would continuously get better, but he wanted to prepare as best as possible for this coming season. So there's a few things he did on top of his normal basketball training. And let's not forget, they're in San Antonio. They're very good at also building systems. That's why they've won so many NBA championships. They're very good at creating stars who want to stay living in San Antonio. Virtually all the best players in San Antonio still live there. And with Victor coming in, he got to work with other greats like Tim Duncan that we've already spoke before. David Robinson was also a great player, stayed there before, trained to continue this legacy of the Spurs. It's very unusual. But on top of the basketball stuff, Victor Wembanyama did other stuff. He went to train with Shaolin monks in Zhengzhou. He studied Kung Fu. He studied meditation. He studied brain preparation, mental preparation. Essentially, he wanted to go out and say, and learn what are the best practices in completely different fields, completely different industries, completely different countries. Let me learn what I can learn from the best of the best who devote themselves to these things, and then bring it back to my game and my career. Obviously, I love it because that's what I do, right? I bring my best practices and experience from the Marine Corps, from college basketball, from consulting at McKinsey & Company, from my entrepreneurship background, and I bring those and help those people that are also reaching out like Victor, right? That reach out to me and help them get to the next place because preparation multiplies talent. The very best know that what got them there will get them to the next place. The very best know that we all have blind spots. The very best know that we don't get very far alone and they need help. So I love that Victor Wembanyama at the age of 21, 22 went to get more help, to get better. And that's where we start to see that young talent plus the structure of preparation and coaching and the mentorship leads to accelerated growth. Okay, that's the key. If you want to get better somewhere, the number one thing you need is more experience. And the only shortcut to more experience is coaching because they're going to pressure you and test you and accelerate that experience. That's the only cheat code in the system is to get coaches. That's why all the athletes have coaches. That's why all the CEOs have their own coaches, right? That's where everyone who goes really far in life has coaches because they need someone who doesn't have skin in the game, but has a lot of foresight and can pressure and push you to places that you didn't know you could go. And I love that. Now, I will call out the lack of experience for San Antonio is going to be the hardest part for them outside compared to Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City won last year. They understand what it takes to win an NBA championship. The Spurs haven't gone this far in years, right? Because they weren't at that point yet. And now with Victor Wembanyama doing so much better himself, it's brought that the tide has risen for the whole team, but they still lack experience. And I think that shows most notably on defense. I won't spoil game 5 if you haven't watched it already, but if you give up 40 points in one quarter, you're not playing defense. And you got to be able to play defense and offense in the whole game, right? You can't just rely on talent. We'll talk a little bit about that when we talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. But the lack of experience is going to be a challenge for the Spurs that they will have to overcome. It takes a while. It took years for Jordan to win his first NBA championship. It took years for LeBron James to win his first NBA championship. It's going to take a little bit for Victor Wembanyama. It might be year 3. We'll see. But the lack of experience will be a challenge that we'll have to overcome. But regardless, preparation multiplies talent. And this is a great opportunity for us to learn from the San Antonio Spurs. And I will say I am biased again because I am from Corpus Christi. Hoping the Spurs can pull this off. Go Spurs, go. Okay, let's talk about the third team. And now we're going from the Western Conference Finals to the Eastern Conference Finals. And we're going to talk about the New York Knicks. Man, those Knicks, they were a terrible team for 27 years, almost 30 years. Absolutely terrible. They were a joke. The largest market in the country who's fanatics about basketball, and they were terrible. Okay, we'll talk. We could talk a whole episode on the leadership disaster that New York City Knicks was. But the key thing here is that a broken organization can be resurrected. Okay, how do you do that? Leadership. What do you focus on? Identity first. We'll talk. I'm getting ahead of myself. You can see here, but it starts with leadership. Okay, leadership. And who's the focal point of all this? It's going to be Brunson, the great guard out of Villanova, who, yes, did beat my Michigan Wolverines in the 2018 NCAA tournament championship game in San Antonio. I was there. I went to that game. The irony, right? We're talking about San Antonio. But he did win that game, and he's been very good in the NBA. And he ended up getting a point that he was a free agent. He can essentially choose where he wanted to go. And this is so important. I love this part of this. He knew as a free agent that he wanted to go to the Knicks. Why? Well, he grew up in New Jersey because his dad played for the New York Knicks. Yes, his dad was an NBA player. Must be nice, right? To be able to have that support system. And his dad's an assistant coach now with the Knicks, which is a whole different, unusual circumstance. But he knew he wanted to be a Knick. He wasn't chasing money. He wasn't chasing a loaded roster like many players do both. It makes sense from their perspectives. Brunson didn't do either of those. He wanted to be a Knick. And because that, he went to New York to be a Knick. It mattered to him. We go back to the IBR framework, identity, behavior, results. He knew the identity piece. He wanted to be a Knick. Now, his behaviors are very good, very aligned. It's not just being a Knick, right? He wants to be a great basketball player, and those behaviors are aligned. He is a fighter. He's only 6'2". In the NBA world, that's relatively kind of on the smaller end for a guard. I'd say anything under 6'3" is kind of smaller, and there's guards that are 6'4" and bigger, right? But 6'2", he's relatively small, but he has a fighter mentality of, yes, he might draw a lot of fouls, they're kind of annoying, but he fights, and he goes one play at a time. He will go one play at a time. It doesn't matter how bad that previous play is. It's as if it didn't exist for him. You can see it in his face. He just goes. He almost shows no emotion on his face. He just goes one play at a time. And it's amazing the fighter that he is, but a very clear identity, very clear behaviors, and the results are speaking for themselves. Let's talk a little bit about Coach Brown, who's recently came to New York Knicks. When the pressure is on, it shows again what type of person you are, what type of leader, self-leader you are. And what we're seeing here with the Knicks is when things get hard, they get it very simple. Simple, simple, simple. And we're about to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers here in a moment, but in the series with Cleveland, they kept it very simple, especially in game 1 when they were down 22 points in the fourth quarter. They said, we are going to isolate a great player in James Harden, but he's a poor defender, and just let Brunson get to work. And let's see what happens one possession at a time. And they resulted in an overtime victory, which we'll talk about here soon. And they have won 11 straight playoff games. It's just incredible. They ended up sweeping the Cleveland Cavaliers, which we'll talk here in a moment. But it's extraordinary what the Knicks have done after being bad for so long. Not only are they good, they're very good. I saw a quote in the New York, the Wall Street Journal. They said, we realized we were losing these close games. because they're close. They can kind of be a toss-up. So we decided we didn't want close games anymore. Let's just blow them out, and then we don't have to worry about that. Interesting, right? It's so good. It's mind-boggling. It's kind of like in the Marine Corps. We just want to be such killer instincts. We're gonna create the best war fighters we can possibly have, and that's our competitive advantage. It's almost the same thing we're here with the Knicks. It's like, let's just blow them out, and then we don't have to worry about these close games. And they kept doing it. 11-game win streak is fantastic. So that's something we can learn from the New York Knicks. And again, can a broken organization be fixed? Yes, it can. Intentionally, with good leadership, can fix it. And again, and I'll go back to it, it will only change when the leadership focuses on changing the identity. The IBR framework, it works. Okay, you have to focus on identity first. It's simple. It's definitely not easy, but it's simple. And most leaders don't have the framework to do so. And that's why I have my Confident Leader Bootcamp. Okay, it's designed to help you build a very strong identity, build great behavior so you get the results that you want. We will talk about the IBR framework in this course. We also talk about the core of confidence, because the result of this course is spending 10 weeks with me, 1 hour a week live with a group over 10 weeks, is that you will become very clear on what your identity is. You will be very confident to be able to lead yourself and lead others in pressure situations, and the results will take care of themselves. All you have to do is go to my website, look at the page of this program, and see the results that others have had in this. It will change your life, guaranteed. Framework for you to be able to transform you and the organizations that you're a part of. So yes, broken organizations can be fixed with great leadership who understand how to focus first on identity and build from there. So let's go back to the NBA. Let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. What can we learn from them? And I'm just going to be very blunt. Okay, they're a good team. But the main point here is talent is not enough. Okay, I know it might sound obvious, but everyone's always hunting for talent. How many times have I talked to NBA coaches or NCAA college coaches in Division I, and they're all talking about what players can we get in? It's all about talent, 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 talent. I will tell you right now, talent gets you in the room. But what happens if the room is full of talent? There has to be some differentiator. And I have believed this from the very beginning when I was a star player in high school, before my major football injury, when I won state football championship, runner-up football, won some basketball too, but I was a better football player because I love to hit hard. It's the leadership is that competitive edge when everyone's talented. That's the key. I've seen it time and again in different levels. So talent will get you in the room, but when the whole room is full of talented people, there has to be competitive edge, and that's where leadership is that competitive edge. Okay. Cleveland Cavaliers, they have Mitchell, excellent player. They have James Harden, what has been an excellent player for many years. He led the Houston Rockets for many years. And I watched him for many years doing that because I was a Rockets fan, especially my time living in Houston. Fantastic player. Both of them fantastic players. And they have other players around them that are very good too. They wouldn't get to the conference finals in the East if they weren't. Okay. They're very talented. But the lack of leadership in the coach and in the players is a challenge. And I'll call out James Harden as much as I like him. He's never been a great leader in my eyes his entire career. He's pushed himself. He can kind of lead himself most of the time, but there's still cracks in his game that he's never been able to overcome. And it's part of the reason why he's so good in the regular season when there's no pressure, and he performs usually poorly in the postseason when there is a lot of pressure. They don't have this die-hard will to win and grind and go one position at a time on both offense and defense. They just do not have it. And great example, game one. They are up 22 points in the fourth quarter against the New York Knicks. It's a guaranteed win as much as you can have a guaranteed win. And New York made adjustments, as I just called out. They realized James Harden, he's an older player now. He's a great player. He was a league MVP before. He's a fantastic scorer. He was doing things before Luka Doncic was ever doing these things about breaking quickly, being able to get to the free throw line, getting to the rim, and shooting all these step-back three-pointers. He was that guy first. He really changed the game that way. Rules were made because of James Harden in the NBA. That's how great of a player he is. Okay. But defensively, he's not as good, especially he's older. He doesn't have that lateral movement. And so New York made it simple. Let's spread the floor. let's move the ball until James Harden is guarding Brunson, and let's get Brunson get to work. He's going to get past him, and we will score something or dump it off and score. They made that adjustment. They were down 22 points in the fourth quarter, focused on one possession time, and slowly crept back all the way to tie the game and go into overtime. And by the time they got to overtime, Cleveland didn't even know what hit them, got smacked, and did virtually nothing, and the New York Knicks won. Brunson scored more by himself as an individual player than Cleveland did at the end of the regulation and overtime. It was astonishing. But here's the challenge. And this is why I'm telling you it's a leadership challenge. Let's look at what these people said after the game. Okay. I'm going to go hard against Coach Kenny Atkinson. Okay. I'm sure he's a great coach. But the lack of leadership, to me, is blaring. He said after that game, I am very proud of my guys. Okay. They asked him, what do you feel like blowing a 22-point lead in the fourth quarter? He said, I am very proud of my guys. I'm telling you right now from my background, I would be furious at my guys. I would call them out, but I would call myself out because I let that happen within the structure that I created. Because then I was not calling out my guys. I was not challenging my guys to be better. I was not challenging them to have better behaviors to match the identity that we've created for ourselves, which is being an NBA championship team. This is outrageous for a coach, a head coach, to say, I'm proud of my guys. I'm glad what they did. It's good enough. What are you talking about? That is a leadership disaster. They lost that game. And because leadership starts from the top, I know the NBA is different. The coaches are more managers that pretty much get told what to do from the team organization and the players. But still, you can't allow that type of atmosphere to be okay. That mediocrity is terrible. And it kept going. They lost 4 games straight. They got swept by the New York Knicks because of that attitude. And after the series was over, they interviewed James Harden, and he says, we got the better team. I still believe we have the better team. What good does that do? The words mean nothing if you haven't learned enough. Talent doesn't win games. The better team doesn't mean you're going to win. It's who shows up and performs under pressure that is going to move on and win. It is performance that's going to lead you to win. It's not whether you're more talented or have a better team. It's performance. Who shows up, who has better alignment in their behavior, matched to their identity, will get the results. This is poor leadership. We got to call it out. And it's unfortunate, but we get to learn from these examples. So thank you, Cleveland Cavaliers, for having poor leadership in your star players and in your head coaching. Maybe one day you'll get your act together. But anyways, let's just contrast this really quickly. When things go wrong, there's 4 examples. Oklahoma City, they say, hey, we need to execute better. San Antonio, they say, hey, we need to prepare better. New York, they say we need to simplify and attack the weaknesses of our opponent. And Cleveland, we're just going to defend our team. We're just going to defend the status quo. 3 teams adapted. 1 team's already gotten swept. That's what we can see that. So let's go to our 4 takeaways of this episode of Be a Leader podcast. About my college basketball whiteboard here. Go over the top 4 takeaways. So the first one, systems beat stars. Okay, just because you have stars does not mean they're going to perform at what you expect. Systems is what creates consistency over time. So make sure you're building a system. And as a leader, we build a structure, like that little box where all the activities fit in. We create that structure. So systems beat stars. Second one, preparation multiplies talent. We saw that with Victor out of San Antonio. He didn't just want to have that normal curve of a great player in the NBA. He wanted to learn the best things he can do from other experts, from other coaches, from other mentors outside of his industry, outside of the country, different parts of the world. He wanted to prepare as much as possible, and that is what multiplies his talent, and that's really going to help him long term. Third one, broken organizations can be resurrected when identity changes first. I know it's wordy, but it gets that point across. Anything can change. I've said this multiple times. No one is coming to save you. Being a self-leader means that you have to recognize that you need to change, and it starts with identity. Identity, then behavior, then results. Yes, organizations can change, can be resurrected. It starts with leadership, focusing on identity first. And the Knicks are a great example. and they have a great chance of winning the NBA Finals. They are going to the NBA Finals. Spoiler alert. They're going, and if they continue with this win streak, they will be NBA champions, and it'll be a great episode to do that next. And fourth, talent is not enough because at some point, everyone has talent. Okay? Everyone has talent. So what are you going to do next? And the competitive advantage, as I've said many times, is better leadership. Okay? That is the competitive advantage. So who are you? Right? Are you building a system like the Thunder? Are you preparing intentionally like the Spurs? Are you willing to change your identity like the Knicks? Or are you just defending the status quo like Cleveland Cavaliers? Because greatness is not about talent alone. Okay? It's a clear identity matched with powerful behaviors and the culture before results. The results will come anyways. Thank you so much for listening and watching to this episode of Be a Leader podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please share it to other people that would benefit, that helps share this. Please like it. Give it 5 stars. That will also help share it with other people. And I'd love to see your comments. What things stuck out to you when you think about these 4 teams? What things are you noticing watching the NBA Conference Finals? What things are you excited for? And who are you rooting for? So as you can imagine, I kind of moved from south to north. So Spurs, I'm rooting for them first. Oklahoma City Thunder second. New York Knicks third. I think I'll be happy with all 3 of them because they're different than the rest of the places that have usually been going. So with that, thank you so very much for watching this episode and listening to this episode of Be a Leader podcast. And remember, whether you're leading yourself, leading others, or leading leaders, be a leader. My name is Daniel Pinedo. Thank you, and until next time.